Old school Strat-O-Matic chatter, Arenado under the arch, and a nor'easter buries the northeast in snow. Diamond Diehards is on. Joe Rizzo here bringing you baseball along with Jeff the Dog Healy. We are streaming live on Facebook, the Facebook group, and if you want to follow us there, and you're listening to this at another time, then go to Facebook and follow us. You can find us there at facebook.com/Diamond Diehards, Facebook page, Facebook group. We're at Diamond Diehards on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch TV, anywhere you want to go. We're all over there on Diamond Diehards, and we want you to subscribe to us as well on the audio platforms where you always get your podcasts. If you like to watch, we're on YouTube. If you like to listen, we're on iTunes and Spotify and everything else. So you can find us over there at Diamond Diehards. So we have a very good show for you. As Dog and I, we hit 10 o'clock on Monday, February 1st in the east, in the Northeast, buried under snow in New Jersey. Diehard Dads will be making an appearance tonight where you're going to hear all about the snow. You're going to hear so much about it, you're going to be sick of it. And that's the way we want it to be. We also, since this is February 1st, we start Black History Month, and the Dog is going to kick that off with a special and notable veteran of the day.
All right, Riz, great to get back. Great to be back. Our veteran of the day, again, another fun one for us, is Al Bumbry. Al Bumbry was an outfielder for the Baltimore Orioles and the San Diego Padres. He played from 1972 to 1985. Nice distinguished career. Prior to baseball, he actually served as a platoon leader, so in the U.S. Army from July 1969 to July 1971. Along the way, earning a Bronze Star for heroism during the Vietnam War. And when he came back, so partial year in 72 and 1973, 1973 Rookie of the Year. So pretty impressive. Back to back, a Bronze Star to Rookie of the Year. So Al Bumbry, our Diamond Diehards veteran of the day.
All right, Dog. We have an unbelievable show that this show was so unbelievable. We were going to try to start it like an hour ago, and I had to finish eating because I was out using the snowblower for 4 straight hours. We'll hear more about that in Diehard Dads, which used to be Diamond Dads, but now we kept calling it Diehard Dads. So it's that. But Dog, it's a big night because you and I, old Strat-O-Matic buddies, old radio buddies, and now we're once and again, here we are, the Strat-O-Matic Elite Media League. We have been invited to play in that. And if you've been following the Dog and I on Twitter, and if you follow Strat-O-Matic on Twitter, first of all, if you don't, then you should. And if you listen to this show, there's a good chance that you probably have. But Strat-O-Matic and our pal Jerry Milani helped us get into this awesome league. And Dog, because he's gets preferential treatment for some reason, he was able to select his team. Of course, Dog chooses the Mets, who play their first series. So these we were hoping that the results of the game. So basically what it is as I got to keep digressing, Dog, because I forget that like you and I talk about it and we know what we're talking about, but the people don't know. So it's a 60, and Dog, jump in and correct me if I screw this up. It's a 60 game season. They play the games virtually in 3 game series. The first run of the games will be after the show. So if you're listening to this show and it's not Monday night, then go on Twitter and find out like what happened over there. And I think there's ways to follow it online and stuff. So you're matched up in different divisions. Dog got the Mets. Sweeney Murdy, who has covered the Yankees for WFAN since the beginning of time, is the Yankee manager. And of course, like, I'm not, there's no way I'm kicking Sweeney out. So I was like,
Kick Seth Everett out though.
Yeah.
You want to go, Seth? I get old guy strength.
Yeah. So that's like who's this guy? This guy's not on my
Who is
team.
this guy?
So I'm looking it through. I'm like, it's basically what it is it's based on the decade of the 2000s, the aughts, as Jerry Milani always likes to call him. Go follow him, Green GB Pack Jerry. And we'll go through like the rules and stuff, which you and I think we know.
We think we know.
So I had to pick a team. I'm like, okay, what team should I pick? I'm like,
Who does Riz always talk about?
the Cardinals.
There you go.
Like, this is
The
like
Brazil way.
it's just like another. It's just like, we're if we're not a Met podcast, we're practically a Cardinal or a Padre or Yankee or Brewer podcast. I mean, that's pretty good. We've repped a lot of teams, and not even that it's been a year. Next month, a year, believe it or not. So, I get the Cardinals, because basically, like, I looked at them like, okay, how many Cardinals had like really awesome individual seasons in the 2000s? A lot. A lot. So I'm not coming into this league to lose, dog. And there's 12 teams.
You got a soft division too.
There's 12 teams. Well, that's another reason why I picked the Cardinals.
That's the real reason. Okay.
It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt. So yeah, so I got hopefully the soft division here. It's the Dogs League. Well, I guess we all do play each other, but they made divisions. They made 3 divisions: the East, Central, and West. The Orioles are Steve Gardner. The Red Sox are Joe Lemire. Sweetie Murdy, we told you, is the Yankees, and the Mets are our beloved Dog. The Royals are Bob Kendrick. The Reds are Tom Mitzoff. I have the Cardinals, and my first series also is everybody's first series is tonight, and I take on the tough Pirate team of Rob Beardenfell. The West is Hal Richman, Mr. Strat-O-Matic himself, the inventor of the game. He has the Dodgers, and he is also the commissioner. Seth Everett took the Mariners. John Miller, who we talked about in the early days of this podcast, because he did a video with his with Dwayne Kuiper, where Strat-O-Matic simulated the opening day. John Miller is managing the Giants, and Evan Grant is managing the Texas Rangers. So we have a good setup over here. And I put out a tweet that on the Diamond Diehards Twitter that said who we're going against in this first bit of series. I am not coming into this thing to lose, Dog. As you know, I take Strat-O-Matic very seriously, as I have for a long time. It is like another thing of life.
I'm coming in as a Met fan, and I can handle whatever comes my way. So if it's crushing disappointment, it's only like I've been training for this my entire career.
If it's abject failure under lofty expectations.
0 for 3 destroyed by the Yankees up in the Bronx. What a shock.
Okay, so let's try to explain how you. So we're not given like a ton of information about this, but basically what it is we're given like kind of a list of guys to choose from, and we got to say, okay, give me this guy, and what it is these guys are they're gonna have 5 Strat-O-Matic cards from individual seasons in the 2000s, and you're gonna play with. This is how I'm saying it, how I understood it. And what's gonna happen is you're gonna choose your guys to fill out your roster, and it's gonna auto select one of the 5 seasons of the 2000s that your player played in, whether it was for your team or not. And that's the card that you end up with, and whatever. So I'm not sure if that's actually how it works, but when we did get to log into the site on let's see, let's get the link. It's you can find it online, but the link
last
is
Monday or something like that.
365.strat-o-matic.com/league. I don't know.
We'll put it in the comments.
Yeah, well, it's in there. You'll find. We'll have a link or find it on Twitter. That's the best place to find it. Find it. Follow Strat-O-Matic on Twitter. The elite thing. So we sit. This is the first time I've tinkered around with the 365 in probably like 5 years or so. When I messed around with it a few years ago, and it's pretty cool. I mean, you click your team, it tells you who's available. So now, okay, whoa, who's available? Okay, let me see the guys that I picked out. And among all the guys that I selected for my roster, Joel Pinheiro was not allotted to me because I believe Seth Everett took him for Seattle. Okay, fine. And they took him and they gave me Chuck Finley instead. All right, fine, great. I'm like, opening up the roster, dog, and I'm like, okay, is there a way for me to get rid of Chuck Finley?
I thought you have a decent card. You just have a decent card?
Well, in Strat-O-Matic, he's always going to be like a hard lefty, which means he's a lefty that does way better against lefties. And if he's a starter and he's playing in an elite league, he's going to face probably all, right-handed hitters. Most of them.
He's like the anti-dog. That's actually kind of scary. I can't keep my eyes open for him.
Whatever. So I go in and I see a bunch of people. Like I'm like a day and a half into this thing. Before I log on, I see a bunch of people, including Dog, have made transactions. I'm like, okay.
I'm hammering the waiver wire.
This shit's getting real. Now. So I am going to ask you, Dog, what was your process in making your transactions? Now, we don't even know at this point. I didn't even know that we could make transactions. But I saw that you were among the group doing it, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this. But I want to know what your methodology for the transaction was.
So just basically was going down each of the guys. Now I was starting under the impression that a certain somebody who invited us into this league told both you and I that it somehow wound up not necessarily being the case of that it would be the best year of any of the 5 years was what you could pick. So I, of course, like a lunatic, started going down and cherry picking all the guys with one-off good years who magically played for the Mets at some point. Very rarely did the one good year match up with his Met year, by the way, of course. But I was still like, oh, I got this guy, got this guy. And everyone's like, what's going on with this? Throwing guys in. Doug Mankiewicz is picking on my team. I'm like, boom, he's all set. And then I find out, like, oh, by the way, that's completely not the way this works. If you get a guy with one good year and 4 bad years, you're probably pretty much screwed. So sadly, I had to go back to rework my roster. Then I realized the Mets have such a dearth of talent that I'm kind of screwed anyway. I'm just going to get lower numbers. That's the way it's going to be. So that was pretty much how I was going to work it. I mean, when we first picked it, it was pretty much sort of name recognition and what you could kind of guess what the guy's card would be and stuff. And then so I had like John Franco on there, just from, I'm going to pick him on that, but like, his average whip was like 1.3 or something like that. So it's kind of funny actually kind of looking back and looking at stuff in sort of like strat terms versus just pure fan terms at this point. So basically he sucked, and Brandon Looper kind of sucked, which I kind of knew, but like he was sort of one of the last guys on there. So I picked up like a Heath Bell. He was good. And he was actually pretty consistent. He was one I thought, like, I picked him because he had a great year, but then it was like he was actually fairly consistent, so he kind of stayed on there for me. I didn't even look at like the ballpark and stuff. So you sort of pointed out that like somehow like Shea also is actually like a decent park for lefties, which like back when we played, it was like just it was like a death zone both sides for home runs. So for some reason, like that, it's like a home run at 12 now, where it used to always be like a home run at 2 or 4 both sides for Shea. So I don't know quite what happened. So I wound up with like a lefty tilted lineup. So I just kind of matched the team there, and then trying to kind of piece around picking up like a little bit of the platoons. So try and pick up some stuff, and that's where I'm pretty like 99% sure that I'm going to completely blow up my team on this. Was that the computer is actually really smart now. It'll tell you like if someone comes in, they'll automatically like pinch hit for you, and if someone gets hurt, there's a backup. So like you can put all sorts of different things in there. And in my typical analyst sort of way, I'm like trying to nitpick this here, there, whatever else. And basically, the bottom line is I'm pretty sure that Jeff Francoeur is going to suck for me. And I'm also pretty sure that he's going to like pinch hit. Like someone's going to bring a lefty in like early, and Jeff Francoeur is going to come in, and he's going to be in the middle of the lineup. like crushing time, and like Mo Rivera is going to come in and like absolutely annihilate them, and it'll be Jeff Francoeur sitting there with a bat on his shoulder, getting destroyed as I get swept by Sweeney in the Bronx. So,
Very interesting.
inshallah on that one, as we would say.
So what I did was I started to get wise to it. Now right now the games are going to start being played. You know, by the time you guys are probably listening to this, if you're not on the live stream, by the time you're listening to this, it's like the first set of games have already been played. But I still, at this point that I'm speaking about this, don't know if they pick one card at random and they play the whole season with it, or they pick one of the 5 cards randomly for each game, and that's what plays that game. I have no idea which one it is. No clue.
Jerry is claiming it's for the whole season, which you and I were sort of discussing. I'm like, well, if I go on there and Francoeur doesn't get like the one magical year that he has, do I just dump him and you start playing like Rolodex with guys and you can find out which card they get each year? That doesn't seem like a sustainable thing, but
well, I don't know. I mean,
I guess we're gonna find out.
It's gonna, you know, whatever we end up doing.
It's kind of cool though. Like, you know, that's
like
reality, right? Like,
yeah.
you get this guy, like, oh, Roberto Alomar, right? For the Mets, he's like, I don't know. Like, I'm setting up for, I'm like, I don't know which Roberto Alomar I'm getting, which I guess is just like being a GM, right?
Yeah.
I thought I was getting this guy, but instead I got this guy.
Which is the exact reason why I picked the Cardinals. Because there's no bet. So I'm like living on the edge with this one. So you know what I did, Dog? So one thing, here's another thing I want to know. How did you know which players were available to you? Did you just go off of memory? Did you look at free agents? Because there's
for when I was picking in the first place.
No, you made your transactions.
When I did the transactions, there was I went to the free agent listing. Okay. So there's a free agent listing, and you can sort it on players and stuff like that.
Oh, but could you sort it on team?
You could not sort on team. So yeah, that one I had to go through. Like, so there was like, I didn't hit every guy, so I kind of did it by memory. And that's why I wound up accidentally picking up Preston Wilson, because he wasn't actually a Met during that time period, even though I guess he was a Met.
He was.
Yeah, it was like, we'll see. He was like in 2000, but I think our card, like his card was 2002 or something. So I don't know. I made a mistake. And I got yelled at before the league started already.
Guess what, Doc? You know what was available that you didn't see?
What was that?
An Excel spreadsheet.
Oh, that's all.
You know what that Excel spreadsheet? You know what that Excel spreadsheet has the ability to do if you understand how to use like filters?
I'm sure we give you exactly who's available for you at all time. Boom, boom, boom. So
that's how guys. That's how guys like Larry Walker ended up on my team, even though he only played for the Cardinals for a year.
Well, trust me, I did scroll the roster pretty hard. And I have followed the Metsies for a while. So I'm pretty sure there wasn't that many guys who were ever remotely good that was on the Mets that might have snuck through on me.
Doug, do you remember Ron Gant playing for the Cardinals? Me neither. That's who's my DH against lefties.
Oh, everyone who's good is like on my roster is basically from what he did when he was not on the Mets. Like Richard Hidalgo is like my greatest guy. I'm like, he was awful for 1 year for the Mets.
Actually, I thought he was good for the Mets.
Nah, I mean, he was all right. He had like monster years for Houston. Like he was like okay. So he's like maybe like an OPS of like, I don't know, 750 or something like that. It's off my head. So he's like an all right guy for his Met year. But like the other years, he's like OPS like 1,000. So he's a monster.
By the way, Braden Looper was like, he's the first guy on my cusp. I'm like, oh, Dog, and I was looking at Preston Wilson. So yeah. So I found every guy who played for the Cardinals, and some of them only had like 1 year. So I looked at, then I went in and I clicked on the guy in the free agent listing.
Yeah.
And so what I did was, to narrow guys down, I said, okay, who has the most years, like of the 5 seasons, who has the fewest like bad years? And the other thing I did, Dog, was I looked for guys that were always like really slanted, like either like a righty who always gets out righties.
That is so classic Riz. this one.
I'm like,
I'm
know
telling
what?
you, you're gonna have the same problem though. See that what I'm gonna do to you? I'm gonna bring in like a lefty early or a righty early, and it's all gonna blow up on you.
No,
Like really quick, because all of a sudden they're gonna start like pinch hitting for everybody willy nilly.
no, my lineup against righties and lefties is almost the same.
So how come all your guys are all slanted then?
No, I went for pitchers like that, like relievers.
Oh, pitchers. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were
And
talking
then
about hitters.
in some cases, I tried to find hitters like that. So like,
Okay.
but like depending on which JD Drew I get, like whoever had the Red Sox, I think
Yeah.
didn't, use JD Drew. I'm like, oh, I got to get JD Drew. And then I had a Healy moment where I'm like, wait a minute, he doesn't play left field. Oops. Like who's better in right, JD Drew or Larry Walker? Larry Walker's a little bit better in right, so he's going to play there. Plus, there's a high chance of injury with Walker and Drew, so between them, one of them will be in there, and then, Drew will probably end up being like my DH against righties and whatever. Like so, and then I
Oh
had
yeah. Oh, actually, and the whole DH thing getting dropped in, which is
yeah,
another
that
one.
was
I'm like, I'm Mr. Met. I'm like, not even thinking of a DH. All of a sudden, like yesterday, it's like, oh yeah, by the way, it was a DH. I'm like, what?
yeah, but
So
yeah,
so
it's
I also guarantee in that one that I've got my DH is going to come and like go out and play the field, and all of a sudden be like hitting a pitcher.
So-
well, nobody else is doing this. I'm
So the oth-
utterly convinced the computer is going to kill me on this.
The other thing Strat-O-Matic does is that it gives guys what's called an asterisk rating, which means that based on what year you're using them, they have the ability to pitch in a 4-man, type rotation, like to go every fifth day instead of every sixth day. So I made sure that I had 4 guys to do that, and that I could move like, Matt Morris is pretty good and Woody Williams is pretty decent, but there's like more of a chance that those guys could be like, I could pull a bad year with one of those guys. But between Chris Carpenter, Wainwright, Mark Mulder, and the late Darryl Kyle, I should be pretty good. So I went with the 4-man rotation on that. And the bullpen, I don't know. I have no idea what I'm going to get from that. But I do have Jason Isringhausen as my closer. But I didn't designate him my closer, dog. I just didn't even designate a closer. I'm like, you know what? Just let the starters go as long as they can go, and then just hopefully the computer will do well, like matching up the other guys.
I'm not
But
gonna lie.
dog,
I was looking for Pat Mahomes to pick him up. Get
yeah.
the Chiefs
Oh, wow.
magic.
Yeah, he
Was
probably
not
pitched
on the list.
He probably pitched for every team though. Doug, you want to go like why don't you quickly go over your lineup? Like it gives you make a standard lineup against left-handed pitchers and a standard lineup against righties.
Oh, hold on. All right, hold on. I gotta pull
So
this up. I gotta pull it up here.
okay.
I got all sorts of others. I didn't realize we're going that deep. Hold on.
I didn't either, but I'm having a lot of fun. This is for the strat heads. The strat heads.
This
like,
is for the
buoyed.
deep strat heads.
The strat heads. I will say this: the strat heads buoyed this show from the beginning because that's how this show started because of Strat-O-Matic, essentially. Like we were playing, the simulation like it was real life. Well, their simulation, we were taking it like it was real life, and that gave us, the first 20 episodes or something of this show to help us get started. So we're forever indebted to Strat-O-Matic, and then to be asked to be in this league with people who are like way smarter than us is really, really cool. So let's see, the dog is pulling it up.
Dog is working hard on here because actually I did it up on my home computer here.
Oh, you did. Oh,
So
okay.
I need to go. Yeah, I'm trying to find out I'm trying to find the login for this here. All right, Riz, why don't you go through yours?
Okay.
And I'm gonna effort mine as your.
So in an effort to keep my lineup nice and balanced, it's pretty the top. Let's see, the top 5 in my default righty and lefty, meaning against righty and against lefty lineups. Albert Pujols is my leader. I've made him into a leadoff hitter at first. Larry Walker in right. Scott Rolen.
Ooh, that's right. I forgot he was there.
At third. Jim Edmonds in center. The surprisingly awesome Placido Polanco. You forget how good he was. He's
Oh
like
yes, he was
really
good. I
good.
remember him.
He was really good. Every one of his strat cards are really good. I'm like, wait a minute. He's like, I kind of remembered him being really dominant, like against left-handed pitchers, but he was like really good against both. And then against righties, I have JD Drew then as the DH batting sixth, Edgar Renteria at short, Skip Schumacher in left, and Yadier Molina. Yes, he was there for like 4 years already at behind the plate with his 1-4. And the remainder of the lineup against lefties, Renteria moves up to sixth. Then Ronnie Gant, the DH. Reggie Sanders, yes, he played for the Cardinals. He's in left. And then Yadier Molina behind the plate again. And Mike Matheny's my backup catcher.
There you go.
So that's it. So, Dog, I'm like those top, all those guys, except if you get to like Ron Gant, you don't really want him hitting against the Reds. But any of those guys, I don't care if you have a righty or a lefty in there. You could just put them in there. It's fine.
There you go. There you go. All
Set
right,
it and forget it.
So for mine, I'll be honest, I kind of did the righty one and I sort of like quickly did the lefty one here. So hopefully it's not a total disaster. But I got I started to sim you for lefties. I got Carlos Beltran leading off in center. David Wright batting second at third, obviously. Piazza batting third at catcher. Richard Hidalgo batting fourth and left. Jeff Francoeur. Hope we get the right card. Right field. Carlos Delgado at first base, batting sixth. Ryan Church, the DH. This was, you can tell it was rough, like going like for a DH for the Mets season. Like, oh, I really feel like I should have been able to do better, but I really couldn't find anybody. Number 8 was Alfonso at second. And then Jose Reyes batting ninth, shortstop, kind of going like the speed at the bottom of the lineup, which again was a funny one because I actually set my lineup just leaving Reyes at the top. I'm like, those were looking like, that's kind of like not really the way this things work anymore with that because he just doesn't have the OPS to kind of hang up there at this point. So I knocked him down to 9 in there, go with a more contemporary sort of lineup. The righty lineup. I'm kind of digging this one. I got Beltran again leading off. David Wright batting second, so I got some speed there too. Carlos Delgado batting third. Piazza batting fourth. Cliff Floyd, who had like some huge numbers for the Metsies, batting fifth. Again, Richard Hidalgo in right. Ryan Church was actually pretty good against the righty. Actually, he's pretty balanced on both sides. It's DH. Roberto Alomar. See which card. At second, and so that might be another one like that might be just like Edgardo Alfonso for like the rest of the time because he's got a more consistent card. But Alomar is a 1, so at second, so I figured that might actually be important. And then Jose Reyes batting ninth. So not I feel like for the Metsies, that's about as good as you're gonna get hitting wise. So there's only so much.
What's his face? What about what's his face? No, Ryan Church. I felt like that was a nice little find because I forgot about him. Like he's
pretty solid.
He probably has a 1-7 concussion against both sides though. That guy was like he was
a nice player.
He was like one of the concussion guys. Like I mean, if he had his issues, in today's MLB, maybe they would have protected him a little bit better because obviously he came back too fast.
Yeah.
And he kept
or you could be David Wright and you get the special helmet and all the guys mock him. That's cool. Yeah, right. 5 years from now, you wouldn't have heard that anymore. But
no, that's a good point.
It's terrible. It's terrible, right? But everyone was. I mean, even at the time, people knew it was bad, but that still didn't stop people.
I know. What about even a generation before that? Mark Kelso from the Bills. Remember, he had that helmet. Everybody's like, I don't think it ever proved out to be anything like, revolutionary, but at least he was trying something, right?
Yeah.
Like anyway.
So
all right, Doc.
Should I hit the rotation? I want to get the whole team now.
Yeah.
Now I get the Met pitching. Now I can start talking.
Yeah.
So I got Santana as the ace. Al Leiter going next. Tommy Glavine, Rick Reed. I'll be honest, I didn't really check that number out. I think he's okay. It's like this number is like I didn't really check the rotation actually. I kind of assumed these guys okay, and Glendon Rush, who had some decent numbers for it. So that might be another one. He might be a quick drop depending on how depending on the card I get.
No, Glendon Rush. I think Glendon Rush was usually good. I think he was like a lefty.
He's not bad.
He usually got righties out, I think, didn't he? Well, Santana definitely was a reverse guy.
Yeah, so there were those guys were all like fairly consistent guys down. So I'm not. I mean, Rick Reed might. He had a couple. He had like a great year, and then he had like not so great year. And let's see, what do I got for?
If I'm facing Santana, that he's gonna have to face friggin' Walker, Edmonds, and JD Drew. Just letting you know.
That's fine.
He's gonna face a lot of lefties, and the righties are gonna be no picnic either, doggy. Balls. Rolling.
And where's my picture press? Oh, there we go. Yeah, I'm trying to look up the rest of the guys here. All right, so the pen, I've got. Let's see. So the close. So I got 2 closers. I get this all out of order here. So I got Billy Wagner and Armando Benitez as closers. I got Heath Bell and Darren Oliver as setup guys. Lefty specialist Pedro Feliciano. Depends on the year they got one. He's got a couple rough ones. Carol Moda. And and then I just did the I think I have somebody else. Oh, I did Heath Bell, right? Is that it? Feliciano. Oh, and Darren Oliver was in there. Actually, I didn't give him a role, so he's just a free agent there. So yeah, he's the other guy in the pen.
We're talking about this. We're talking about the 2000 Mets here. Where is Acapulco? Acapulco! Somebody get Acapulco on it.
I did originally draft Super Joe McEwing, but he kind of sucked, so he had to kick out. Man, that was a tough one. I had what was it? Carlos Gomez. I thought he was hanging around for a little bit. He didn't quite have enough numbers to justify it on there. I'm trying to think who other fan faves I had there. I might have drafted Timo. I'm not sure though. I don't think I did. I think I thought about it, but I was like, probably not.
I think he was on your original thing.
He might have been, because I forgot about Alomar with the numbers for that year. So I think I had Timo over him, but then I dropped him down for that. So so we'll see. They got a puncher's chance. So, but
you never know.
Facing the Yankees and the Red Sox, that's a little tough seeding. Kind of coming out there, especially those years, Yankees, Red Sox. That's a hard one. So, and then the Orioles, I'm sure, are actually pretty decent. They just always had to face those other guys all the time. So
there's funky stuff going on in this league too. Like the guy who was the Orioles.
The Phillies would have had a sneaky tough team too. They had a bunch of good years, not so good year guys. Something like they would have been a tough team.
Yeah, I thought about them, like Ryan Howard.
Yeah, they got a lot of
Chase
good guys
Utley. Some good pitchers there. Cliff
Torino. Yeah, they got a lot of good guys.
They were really the later part of the 2000s, man. They had some studs. Rolen, you would have gotten some Rolen out of that, right? So
yep.
Yeah.
That was tough. I mean, that was just the Mets breaking down in 07, 08, right? I mean, it was to the Phillies.
Yep.
So tough. I don't know. We'll see if Glavine spits the bit like usual. So not that we dwell on anything or anything.
Strat does imitate life, dog. Strat does imitate life.
I tell you what, I can't wait for Beltran to freaking launch one off of Wainwright. I've been waiting 15 effing years for that.
I am gonna.
That might be a Fordham scream out the window if Beltran hits one off of Wright.
I'm gonna say, no matter how tired Wainwright is, leave him in the game so he can pitch to Beltran in the 9th. I don't care. He's not enough relief numbers. I don't care. Put him in. Put him in.
Oh man, tough.
We'll see how he does.
Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be a fun one. Riz is the easy seed. Yeah, we see. That's the way it is.
There's nothing easy about this league. Let's just be real.
It's definitely talent versus talent, right? So, I mean, everyone's got great guys on both sides, right? So
yeah. And the managers, how about the managers? These are people who are like real baseball people here.
We're spending 2 or 3 times the amount of time that we're spending on this. They have an auto set.
Yeah.
Except John Miller. John Miller's on this like white on rice. I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah.
There's nobody else who's more dialed in on this guy. He's arguing which teams he's supposed to be on. I'm like, oh my Lord.
Yeah. What's the spirit of? I mean, I don't know. Like, what is the spirit of the league? It's let's
To
play.
win,
I mean,
period.
win. You win at all costs. Strike first. Strike hard.
No mercy.
No mercy. No mercy, dog.
That's it. We know that.
Except
Never-
for don't
As
use
the dogs
this guy
hate, never fight fair. I was gonna pick up a guy just so I could start a guy who was a 5 just for Jerry. Oh, this guy's got third base 5 numbers. I'll put him in. Take a seat, right? Oh man. Should we talk about real baseball?
What's that? Yeah, let's go. So what's interesting to me, so I have a good transition here because
Nice.
this made me look again at Scott Rolen because he's been one of the guys that made, he's the hot number now in this whole Hall of Fame vote, right? Like so many guys you hear talk about it, like, Rolen and like the way his numbers are going. He's trending up. He's trending that he's going to get there. And then you go listen to Mad Dog Russo, and he's like, Roland was really good, but I didn't feel like I was looking at I didn't feel like I was looking at a Hall of Famer when he was there. But then you look at his strat card, and you're like, oh boy, he's like he was like really good, really good for his peak years in the decade of the aughts were really, I mean, he listen,
that's interesting too. Like, playing in St. Louis, right? That he probably got he probably got punished playing in a bigger park for a hitter for all those years. I mean, it turned over when he was with Philadelphia, and he got a little bit of a break playing in that sort of place. But that is an interesting thought on like the Hall, like where Strat actually is a much more objective way to look at the value of a player versus the Hall is just like all the numbers, right? So like Ryan Howard plays in a bandbox, drills it out all the time. He looks fantastic, right? So if you put him in Shea Stadium, it's like quite as good. He's a good player. It's not going to be as great a player. Strat adjusts for that. The Hall doesn't.
I mean, you look at some of the seasons he put up. So his best year was 2004. He was an All-Star, Gold Glove, and he was 4th in the MVP voting. So it was one of only 4 times that he even received MVP votes. He received MVP votes. He was 20th in 1998. He was 24th in 2001, and he was 14th in 2010 at age 35 for the Reds. Who knew?
Wow.
And what you look at, like the first thing I look at now, right, is OPS. He's the 2004 year is his only year over 1,000 OPS, and it was 1,007. And then he's got 1, 2, 3, 4. He's only got 4 other years where he's over 900. And he's got a lot of, and some of those years, like one of those years, he only played 55 games. So, then for his career, he's 855. He also had, his after 30 years for the most part were, or his after 32 years for the most part, he had some stinkers in there because he had injuries and stuff like that. But his peak years were really good. The problem though, dog, is you look at this guy and you're like, okay, a Gold Glove. He was one of the best, defensive third baseman every time he was at, even as an older player, he was still like, I think he played the position like all the way through to his final years. Like he played third, 92 games at third at age 37. He always played third. I don't know if he even made an appearance anywhere else. Actually, I could look at that. I don't think he did. I think he played every one of his games in the field at third. Yeah. He never played another position. So even at an older age, he was still giving you something defensively, and then whatever he gave you offensively was just a contribution. But the main point, the overarching point being, in his best years, in this arc of 2001 or 2000 to say 2004, 5, 6, look at the guys that were winning MVPs. Look at the shit that was going on. Yeah. I mean, how is this guy going to get MVP votes when Barry Bonds is hitting 73 home runs? How is he going to do that when Sammy Sosa's hitting 66 home runs? And so that's the part where so I wasn't a Rolen for Hall of Fame guy, and I still don't know if I am. He does have the Rookie of the Year, which is a nice little help, but it does seem kind of hard to give that nod to a guy who only finished, in the top 5 of the MVP voting for his league once. However, he did that in the midst of when all of this stuff was going on. So his 2004 season for the Cardinals is like, you got to look at that as being even more epic maybe than it was in those other years where, look, I mean, we never know actually what was going on, but he's never been a guy that was associated with any wrongdoing or anything like that.
Yeah.
So, maybe that makes it more impressive, and maybe he was doing that against pitchers who were using that advantage, right? And he wasn't doing that. So do you try to figure out what the percentage of people was that were using PEDs, and then remove them and say, well, okay, if you removed all the PED guys, this guy would have been like, he would have won at least an MVP probably, and he would have been up there every single year. I don't know how you make these arguments at this point,
Yeah.
Dog.
Yeah, it's too tough, I think.
But I think that this little Strat-O-Matic experiment gave me a little bit of a new insight into Scott Rolen and how good he actually was over his 17-year career.
Yeah.
Average season of 25 homers, 102 ribbies, 281, 364, 490 slugging, and an 855 OPS with Gold Glove defense, all the way through from beginning to end.
I'll give you someone else who looks very similar to that. 162 game average of course I'm losing it now. 25 home runs, 99 RBIs, 296 average, OPS of 867, bunch of All-Stars, couple Gold Gloves, David Wright. Which is funny, like at the same time, right? They were always very similar sort of players.
Yep.
On that, and that's the thing, like Wright, and maybe I was Rolen too, kind of breaking down a little bit towards the end there. Wright obviously having the injuries. Wright was on an all-star sort of pre-time. I think he had 5 or 6 900 plus OPS years, including let's see, latest one 2013, coming back from I think that was the concussion, after 1 year after the concussion one. Come back with that one, and then the final one 2015 of an 814 OPS, jumping up 100 points from his 2014. Then obviously breaking down and just not being able to do it anymore. But yeah, it's interesting. Both those guys were very, very similar. I remember even throughout their career, like it was sort of like Wright was kind of like the next Rolen.
I think Wright
Rolen a better fielder.
Yeah.
Wright, I think a little bit more speed, a little bit more power.
Yeah, that's the way I see it too. And if you look at their baseball reference similarity scores, Wright and Rolen are most similar by ages in their age 28, 29, 32, and 33 seasons. So there's a lot of similarity there. I feel like Rolen maybe ended up just slightly better on the longevity, played about maybe 500 more games.
Yeah.
But again, Wright
Wright just broke down, right? So
yeah, but I mean,
the back,
he was there again. Wright
almost
only
like
made
Mattingly, right? I mean, that's the other one we've done, like the Mattingly
Yep.
versus Wright, right? It's a similar sort of thing too. He probably has similar numbers.
Yep.
And,
you could see that, you could see them just dwindle, but like the power numbers you see just dwindle. But Wright did sneak in that 2013 season.
Yeah,
that was a
even the 50 was like more. I mean, 15 actually hit 289. I mean, only, less power, but 289, 379 on base, and 434.
Well, I mean, in the
only 170. I mean, that was coming back from injury. Like that was only like halfway through.
It was 38 and 37 games, and then he's off in 2017, and then he comes back and gets those last 2 games in.
Yeah.
In 2018, it seems like 20 years ago. It was 2018 though.
I gotta say, one of my greatest baseball moments ever was David Wright 2015, first game back. I guess he might have played a couple games early in the season, but the first game back, against the Phillies. I think I don't know if it was an 0-2 count. I think it was a 2-strike count. Like hadn't even swung or anything like that. Maybe it was an 0-1 and they swung on it and absolutely destroyed one into the upper deck of Citizen Bank Park. And I swear, like from that point, it's like the Mets going. Like it was almost like Wonder Boy, like the lights exploding. I'm like, oh my God. It was just like a magical moment on that. And it was like, they're actually going to do it. That was the feeling I had from that one swing. I'm like, this is it. They're going to finally put it in gear and get it done.
One knock again. By the way, Uncle Paul is on now. He's like, we got to give him a little better heads up as to when we start the live stream. We'd like to give ourselves a better heads up, Uncle Paul. But when you go back, Uncle Paul, when you go back and listen or watch, you're gonna love the earlier part of the show when we're screaming your name. No, that's not a joke. One little possible knock against Wright. Not good numbers in the postseason. In his 2 appearances in the postseason, although his teams went 3-2 in terms of winning their series, including beating the Dodgers twice, which made Debbie Rizzo very happy. He was 198, 311 on base, 630 OPS in 24 games. That's so. In other words, if you're looking to bolster your candidacy, you know, he and Rolen really didn't do much. I mean, Rolen again, it's 39 games. He did get the ring with the 2006 Cardinals, where he was an absolute monster. And I mean, basically, that was like one of 2 postseason series where he hit at all. But for his career, 39 games, 160 plate appearances, 220, 302, 678 OPS, and 5 homers, 12 ribbies. 3 of those homers came in the 2004 NLCS, that epic series, St. Louis against Houston. And, of course, then they ended up getting swept in the World Series where he went 0 for 15 with, a walk. And I think he got hit by did he get hit by a pitch or sacrifice? Walk and a sacrifice fly. So he had a ribby. So that was, he got to the World Series there. He makes up for the World Series in 2006 against the Tigers. 421, a homer, 2 ribbies, 476 on base, 12-13 OPS, 14 total bases. So, I mean, again, the World Series thing looks good, but is he, on the Hall of Fame monitor, he's a 99. Likely Hall of Famer is 100. His gray ink for batting, 27. Average Hall of Famer, 144. So he's way shy. Hall of Fame standards batting, he's 40. Average Hall of Famer is 50. Jaws, we're not going to talk about Jaws. Nobody cares. Look, nobody cares about Jaws. Okay,
come back 100 years.
Jaws is a movie. Okay, Jaws is a movie. Jaws also has a writer who didn't vote for Kurt Schilling for the Hall of Fame because he doesn't like his politics
that's
openly. So, that's a whole different discussion.
True.
Whether you think it's right or wrong, it happened.
Can I talk about Daniel Murphy? Come on.
Did he play third base? Did third baseman?
He batted third.
No, well, it's
even in college, he said, "I bat third."
You can't. Position. You know why you can't?
Why
because
not?
I was using my Cardinals thing to talk about Rolen and then move into Arenado. That was structured. I wrote it down. It's on my notebook. So
how about the feels though? How about the feels? The right
home run. I
got the Murphys right there too, and like Keegan. And,
I'm making a note for later because
I have to roll that into the Diehard Dads.
We have Pedroia too, so you got Pedroia and Murphy that you can talk about. We'll do that.
Right.
So Arenado, right?
Okay.
Arenado. Talk about another guy. He's in the similarity scores. For Rolen. Oh, and by the way, if you do flip the David Wright, if you look at the David Wright page, his whole career basically is like Scott Rolen in the you know,
Yeah. Then he
and
busts his
similar
back.
by ages.
Yeah. Crazy.
Even more so than the opposite. So if you look at Rolen, his 25 and 26-year-old numbers are Nolan Arenado, who's, I guess the trade somehow, the trade's not official yet, but I mean,
Yeah.
it's a fait accompli, right?
Yeah.
Now this guy, starting in 2015, MVP voting, 8th, 5th, 4th, 3rd, 6th. Last year didn't get in there because he had a little down year but it's the truncated season, so everybody's going to overlook it. The splits are enormous. They are enormous. He is a way better hitter at home for his career in Colorado, and not pedestrian on the road, but not anywhere close. So let's just take OPS, 985 at home, 793 on the road. Scary, right? So
scary for 15 million a year, right? So.
For how many million a year?
No, more than that. What am I saying? It's 150.
More.
It's 150 for 8. Yeah, I'm sorry, 20 million a year.
Yeah.
Sorry,
No,
I had
more
15
than
in my
that.
head.
No, it's way more than that.
How many years do you have left on it? Hold on, I gotta see. I had the 200 million in with they're giving him 50 million, so it's 150 million left.
Oh,
now I forget. Now I forget.
you're
the years,
subtracting the
I'm
50
subtracting
million.
the money they're sending the other way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good point. Yeah, so maybe it's 20 million a year then.
So,
but
to the Cardinals. Yeah.
8 Gold Gloves. 4. I mean, look, is he a great player? Yes. The best thing about this deal, if you're the Cardinals, I mean, besides the obvious stuff, is if your comp is DJ LeMahieu, then this is basically a complete steal. Complete.
That's a healthy comp.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, maybe.
But is it because of Yankee Stadium that LeMahieu has, was he just a perfect fit for Yankee Stadium? And that's why LeMahieu splits are still ridiculous. They're just at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah. Well, we will have to see. I do think, I remember when we were talking about Arenado and the Mets potentially taking a look at him and stuff in the off season. And, I had the heebie-jeebies on it that I didn't think it was a good fit. I think that contract is a killer for him. Give him the 50 million back, definitely takes the edge off it for the Cards, but that's still a lot of dough. And, it's funny, it's funny every time we look at it, right? There's 29, right? Every guy we look at here, right? 30, 31, 32. Once they clear 32, it's so rare to get guys who are worth it beyond that, right? And just every player, almost. Now we had, I think it was Chipper was a good example at third base where he was okay, right? So he was good like the whole way kind of through on that. And third base is a position you can still stay pretty good, it seems like, kind of going forward. But boy, oh boy, those second contracts are scary when you get to that sort of length for those kind of players. But we all give them for whatever reason. But everyone seems like once you go past 33, you're really asking for pain. And we sort of said, funnily enough, more for position player than for pitchers so far. But yeah, for Arenado, I don't know, Cards. That's I think that's a bit of a dangerous one for me. I do think he's a different player when he's outside of Colorado, and I think that's going to get exposed in St. Louis. Well,
I feel like he's going to be a lot like Rolen. I think that's what the comp is, and the similarity scores are there, but it's not just I didn't have to look at a similarity score to make me think oh yeah, they seem like really similar guys. Defensive wizards, both guys are capable of playing shortstop, if you need.
And that'll translate, right? They're at least going to get a good defender.
Oh yeah,
no doubt,
right?
Gonna
translate. He's gonna, he's gonna, and
he'll have the average. It's the question is the power, right?
Right now, okay. So if his 42, 41, 37, 38, and 41 homers become 32, 31, 27, 28, and 31. He's still going to be really good, right? And you figure, I don't know why I figure this, but I figure that even with a little decrease in what his home splits are going to be, I just get the sense that his road splits will improve. Like, I think there is something to the guys playing in Colorado. And I've noticed this because I would get these guys on my fantasy team all the time. And I'd be like, okay, we're gearing up, and I play like rotisserie style. So, you're not playing head to head and you want guys to keep compiling the numbers. And these guys would get to like September and like they just, a lot of guys just seem to fade in September there. And I think, it might have to do with being in the high altitude where the guys get, they get a little bit more, I don't
More
know,
gassed.
worn out, more gas. Like it just, that little extra bit of living there may take its toll on these guys. And, if you're used to doing things at elevation, well, every road game is at not elevation for you. So you have like a full adjustment to do that. Like now, if
Which
he's
should be like, I have so much more oxygen that I can like explode, right? But that's not the case with these
right,
guys.
yeah,
It works the opposite.
well, I mean, because you do have the advantage of,
Uncle Paul's
all.
sticking up for David Wright here.
No, I know. You do have the advantage of all the other scientifically proven stuff, but like I just feel like their splits are like that for more than just one reason. You know, it's got to be the attrition rate. It's got to be that all road parks are now so much different from their home park that they probably like. I just feel like guys maybe try to overcompensate when they're going on the road. They try too hard and they give things up. So I would expect Arenado's road splits to improve. I would expect his home splits to be good. I think he'll do fine over there, and he's going to be happier too. That he clearly was not
Yeah.
last year.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's fair to throw last year out for him. I think. I mean, you look at the rest of his career; he's a very consistent player, right? So he's disgruntled, playing a short, weird year. That's one that's one that feels like you can legitimately throw it out, even though it's the most recent one. You got to discount that. So it's fair to say you're going to get a better player than that guy.
By the way, he is so much like David Wright and Scott Rolen. He even sucks in the postseason too. 190 with a 174 on base. His postseason on base is 16 points lower than his batting average. Because of two sacrifice flies, and he's never drawn a postseason walk or gotten hit by a postseason pitch. 333 slugging, 507 OPS. He did hit a homer against the Cubs in 2017, and he's had one RBI in each of the three playoff series in which he's competed. So yeah, it's unbelievable how much those three guys are alike. It's unbelievable. So I would expect Arenado to go in the mode of Scott Rolen and David Wright. And if I were the Cardinals, I would make that deal 10 out of 10 times. My only regret is that I don't get to use them in Strat-O-Matic. Maybe I'll get to use them in the. Do I get the Cardinals emeritus now? Like, do I just get to use them every time? So, all right. So we could check that. We could check off that. Check off that. The Elite Media Experts League. Check off that. Arenado deal. Check off that. You started talking about Chipper Jones. He's now a coaching consultant for the Braves, back where he can do some damage. He's going to consult them on how to hit against Mets pitching.
In Shea Stadium.
Yeah.
Shea Jones.
Yeah. Not much more to talk about with that.
Worked out
right?
pretty well. That's
Yeah,
exactly.
pretty well. Fernando Tatis Jr. cover of MLB The Show 21. That's a sign of the times, right?
Bat flip. Very
Bat
nice.
flip.
Yeah. No Mike Trout. That hurts.
Well, but it's a sign, right?
Tatis is that. Yeah.
Padres are
right?
the in team.
Yep.
He's
the
not
in player.
he's not just a baseball player, right? He's like, he's
Yep.
got that, whatever
Yeah.
that it factor is.
He's the next Roy Griffey Jr., right? It feels
Yeah.
like.
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
everyone's going to be doing whatever Tatis does, right? Griffey
Yeah.
Jr. had every kid putting his hat backwards, right? So
yeah.
so it
Except
transcends.
except for Yankee kids.
Exactly.
Which is
My kids didn't either.
F that guy. F that guy. He should have been out at the plate. Okay, so Dog, now you'll get in your Daniel Murphy because he's announced his retirement, as did Dustin Pedroia. Pedroia getting all the love out there, but you know, you can go on the internet.
Had a better career. So Pedroia, it's great to see, you know, nice long successful career all with one team with the Red Sox. A great thing to celebrate. So, and Pedroia definitely a great player, a great representative of the game. So hats off to him. So
Hall of Fame, Dog. A lot of people talking Hall of Fame.
I don't know what's his numbers look like. Actually, I don't know his numbers. Great player. I don't know.
Number wise, he's short because he's got the, you know, he's got the you know, the truncation of the career here. You know, he's 30. He retired. You know, his last season was his age 35 season in 2019. He played 6 games. He played 3 games a year before that. So he played up until age 33, really. And even then, he only had 105 games. So he doesn't, you know, he's got 14 seasons. He's got, you know, he's got about the same as David Wright. And he's got an MVP. He's got a Rookie of the Year. He's only got, you know, he's got 2 other seasons in the top 5 in MVP voting. Yeah. He just doesn't quite have. Yeah. He wasn't so magnificent in his short stint or his shortened stint. Yeah. He's, you know, he's close, but he's not quite there. And if you look at his similarity scores, Dog,
he's a team hero.
His number 5 in his similarity scores is a guy named Daniel Murphy.
Really? Yeah. That's actually kind of amazing. I mean, talking about 2 guys I would completely not put together.
Yeah.
The fact they both, well, one played second base, one stood at second base. But well, that's funny. That's actually a funny transition on there. So yes, so Daniel Murphy. So I'm just gonna start talking anyway. So yeah, I gotta say for Keegan, number 5 for me. So my second son down there. Daniel Murphy was his favorite player. Obviously Mets family along here, and you know, had been a Daniel Murphy fan for a while. Going into it, and just the magical, you know, the magical week, or I mean the magical second half really of 2015, but then just the off the chart week in the postseason. Just a remarkable one. I had a great Facebook memory. I just say of you know, getting gone to bed, and I don't even remember who it was against. If it was the Dodgers or the Cubs. I think it was versus the Dodgers. And Daniel Murphy hit a home run, and the Mets won the game. You know, eventually won the game. It wasn't like a walk-off or anything, but like the Mets had won the game, and Daniel Murphy was the hero once again. It might have been the Greinke game. That sort of seems right. I'm gonna guess it was the Greinke game. Just looking at it, broke the tie, and then I think the Mets held on in that game. And I just remember writing to it, like, you know, just like sometimes baseball just really kind of gets it. You know, like I went into him the next morning. It's like, you know, hey, guess what? The Mets won the game last night, and guess who the hero was? He's like, who? And he goes, you know, Daniel Murphy. I'm like, Daniel Murphy hit another home run to win the game for the Mets. And like, you know, just the smile was out to here, and it was right in the feels there. So that was just a remarkable time. And actually, Katie got to see him one time when she was singing the national anthem, and she got to say hi to Daniel Murphy. So that made her year too. So
wow,
a little touches of greatness there with the Murph.
It was 6. What was it? 6 straight postseason games he hit a home run.
Yeah, it was just absolutely unbelievable. And
yeah, he was the NLCS MVP, 529. 4 homers, 6 ribbies in 18 plate appearances in 4 games.
Just insane. And it's funny, like you look back and it's just funny. I forget who we were talking about with with this, but like looking at Murphy and like the Mets gave him the qualifying offer, which I think was like 16 million or just under 16 million back then, and he signed for like 3 and 36 or something like that with the Nationals. Like whatever contract he got, like was not a big contract. And like I think it was like the Mets just kind of assumed the Mets for whatever reason like never like they never believed like the power thing was there, so they were they didn't think he was the guy. He would be worth it. Be worth more than somebody else. I'm like, and when he signed, I remember even at the time I'm like, really? I'm like 336. I'm like, that's just a contract you're supposed to sign for your own guy, and it was just crazy that they let him go and then go to the Nationals and went up just completely killing the Mets for like a year and a half. For the Nats. I mean, he just absolutely destroyed the Mets.
He killed everybody. I mean, he
it was. I mean, yeah, it was great for everybody. He was like 1100 OPS versus the Mets. Though. It was like insane on that one, and and good on him on that one. That was just between that and then Turner, which the Mets just like gave away for like nothing. Like they didn't even tender him, which was just. I mean, the Murphy one was worse. I mean, Turner hadn't really shown it. Like Murphy was starting to show. But just between the two of them, like they both had been playing second base for the Mets, and they both wound up walking away. And we're playing Neil Walker the next year. So,
well, it is interesting that Murphy was. You can't say he was in a whisker of winning the MVP, but he finished second in his first year with the Nationals in 2016. Led the NL in slugging and OPS and doubles that year. Wow. And he hit 25 homers after never hitting more than 14. But he hit 14 the previous season. So maybe the power was starting to come there. But he had never slugged, in a.
He was always a high. He was always like a doubles kind of guy. A good average and whatnot. Not quite the power that the Mets had kind of wanted to get from second base. They had the one flash in the second half. I mean, that was sort of their argument on it. I kind of get it, but like it's funny. McNeil actually reminds me a little bit of Murphy like that. I mean, McNeil's a much better fielder and stuff, and a more rounded baseball player than Murphy is, I think. But also like McNeil had that ridiculous power streak for a while in the back half of 19, which was very reminiscent of Murphy as well.
Look, the Mets have like a history of guys like this, and like Dave Magadan was those guys before that, even though he was like a third baseman.
Jeff Kent, though, another killer.
Yeah,
that one. Yeah,
I mean Kent was the right-handed version of that, right?
True. Yeah, he was like an average guy, but again, like he went away. Also, all of a sudden the power went through the roof.
Yeah,
which he also leaves Shea Stadium doesn't hurt either. But he's one. Then. I think, and Murph was one of the last two, I think, or there might be two more guys left still active who had played in Shea Stadium. So it's Ali Perez, who will never leave baseball, and Murph, and I don't remember where the other guy is. I have to come back. I have to follow up on that one.
Few?
Yeah, it's crazy. It was 09. It is amazing. It was shocking actually to see the number. Like, wow, I can't believe it. But I mean, it has been 12 years. But
that seems crazy.
For the like who had played for the Mets. I mean, there's people who. I'm sorry, I should say who were Met players who were still, had played for the Mets in Shea Stadium.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, not people who just came through and played and happened to be in Shea Stadium. Yeah, that'd be a lot more. But this was people who had played for the Mets in Shea Stadium. So.
Well, yeah, because Reyes is retired officially, right?
Yep.
I'm looking actually at the 2008 Mets now. Let's see if I can find who it is. Endy Chavez was on the team. Uncle Paul in the comments about Endy Chavez. He was asking if Rolen was the one who hit the ball that Endy Chavez robbed, but I think it was Yadier Molina, wasn't it?
I believe you're right.
Yeah, I think it was Yadier Molina. I'm not positive, but I think it was. Let's see.
No, I think he's right. I think it was Rolen. And when Molina was the one who hit it off of Heilman, I believe. Who hit the game winner.
The actual home run.
Yeah, he hit the. That's why I shot here. Bleeping Molina. Yeah. It's because of that. The roll. Yeah, it was either Rolen or Edmonds. It might have been Edmonds.
Well, Edmonds, it would have been opposite field. So I'll say Rolen then. I don't know. Yeah. You could just Google it. Like it probably come right up. Let's see. Ali Perez, there he is. Pedro. Let's see. Well, there are potentially guys that wait, Joe Smith? Is that the same Joe Smith?
Ooh.
Wait,
He might be the other guy.
maybe that's it.
That might be it. That might be it.
Wait, no, is this the same one?
I think so.
No.
No, it's a different one?
Nope. This guy's Joe Smith, 2019 Astros. It's not.
No, but the pitcher from.
Not the Dodger.
Hold on, let me see this here.
Wait, what?
Scott Rolen. Yep, Uncle Paul had it right. Scott Rolen, and he doubled off Jim Edmonds. That's what it was. Doubled off Jim Edmonds at first. You could, oh, that's right. In front of the actually, my old boss at AIG actually used to have the picture of the Andy Chavez catch because it was right in front of the AIG sign. Just funny all around. I think he was a Met fan too, actually. So it really worked for him. And then Yadier, Bleep and Molina's 2-run homer off Aaron Hyman, top of ninth. I thought about picking up Aaron Hyman. You know why? No. Bleep you. I don't care if he works or not. Aaron Hyman's not getting on my team for a Strat League.
So Joe Smith, he didn't pitch last season. So I don't know if he's retired or not. It doesn't say that he's retired, so I don't know.
I think he was trying to come with somebody. Because I remember somebody actually was thinking of getting him. I think the Mets were actually talking about getting him at one point.
Wait,
the side armor, right? Side armor.
Yeah. I was confused with Joe Kelly.
I don't think he's retired.
Reliever. Let's see. Why is this coming up?
By the way, it's like 11:10 when like the Diamond Dog is completely dying right now.
Wait, Darren O'Day. He might have pitched in Shea for the Mets. And he just signed with the Yankees. I wanted to have him on, Darren O'Day. Let's see.
Maybe.
Darren O'Day. Still going. Let's see if he was in the Mets. 2009 Mets. No.
Wait, yeah, that was last year. 09 was last year.
It wasn't 2000.
I don't think so. I think it was 09. I think
no, it was 2009 was the first year. Because the Mets and the Yankees.
That was the first year of Citi Field?
Yeah, the Mets and the Yankees both opened their stadiums. And the Yankees won the World Series in the first year in the new stadium. Ballpark, Citi Field. Darren O'Day did not.
That's a little busy.
Mets and Shea.
Yeah. 09 and 10 was a little bit of a gap for baseball for me. I had other things going on then, but
good try though. I don't know. Well, that's
wasn't. I thought it finished 09 and 10. I thought 10 was the first year in Citi Field.
No, it was 09. 09 was Citi Field. Wow, we've managed
to 2008. Okay, yeah, it's 2008.
Dog's trivia question has managed to grind the show to a halt. All right, so
I'm gonna find out. I'll follow up on that one in the comments.
The Diamond Dog is going to need to go for a walk, so that means we are going into Diehard Dads.
There we go. Excellent. Good time for this one here.
In the Northeast, there's
2 feet of snow.
There's something called a nor'easter. NOR' Easter. And that's this weird thing where a storm comes in and it swirls and it just keeps feeding itself. It's sort of like the way you get lake effect snow. It doesn't always happen. It's kind of like they call it a snow-a-cane sometimes too, right, Dog? Something like that. It's like a hurricane, but so it's really windy out. We got a lot of snow, and in the belt where I am, I think we got 2 feet. I was out there. So here's my Diehard Dads. I'm lucky enough that I've never actually needed to own a snowblower because I've always had neighbors who have snowblowers and I use their snowblower better than them most of the time. So as a trade-off, I'm always like, hey, and I've worked from home like a lot with pretty much flexibility for many times in many different years, not just like because of the pandemic. So a lot of times I'd be like, hey, how about the trade-off? I'll do your driveway if you let me use your blower. Yeah, cool. Let's do it. So we have that arrangement. So I get the blower out. 4 straight hours. 4 straight hours. There's a lot of snow, Dog.
That's a long time for a snowblower.
And let me tell you something. I was ornery when I came in. Maybe I was borderline. I must have been hangry or something like that because the boys were coming to help me do whatever and they were nowhere to be found. I kept saying, "Hey, check on me every now and again just to make sure I'm not, laying on the driveway." Which I was. It was like
They don't care.
it was pretty. No, they did. They actually did.
Oh,
And Debbie Rizzo actually took a video of me somehow too, I think, which is pretty good. Producer tonight, Xavier Rizzo. There's your producer credit, Xav. He and Dominic did help do the front steps and things like that, and whatever. But man, I was ornery when I came in. I was yelling at them for stuff that they had nothing to do with, which was so cathartic. They could do it. Didn't they could have walked on water, and to me, like they were Trump and I was CNN. I mean, they were just wrong. They were wrong no matter what, and everything is to blame. That they were Obama and I was Fox News. I mean, that's the way. That's what it was. And then I ate, and it was kumbaya time, and on with the dog.
there you go.
So there. That's my. I am not without fault. I admit to my imperfections, but the driveway is nonetheless clean, and probably a small cleanup left for tomorrow.
There you go. Very good. So the dog goes out at 12:30 or so. The dog doesn't believe in snowblowers. The reason why is that I literally couldn't fit a snowblower because of all the effing bikes that are sitting in my effing garage that nobody rides, but it blocks everything. So that's the real reason. So the dog doesn't do. So I have as I call my my HP snow throwers, so the Healy Power snow throwers. So we go out there with our shovels and we take care of it. So so I go out at like 12:30. So I do the sidewalk, the first blast through the sidewalk, so like a shovel worth through the sidewalk, and then kind of dig out the cars, and then I do the end by the driveway because it's like really heavy and it's all that. So I kind of do like back to like the vehicles and stuff, and then the kids will take care of the rest of the driveway. So I go out there, I'm slugging away as usual, and I'm feeling on the other side of 50 at this point, and it's it's starting to feel a little bit. I mean, it's probably about, I would guess, about 14 inches or so. But it might have been a little bit more. It was pretty chunky.
That's what she said. That's what she
exactly.
said.
Yeah. And so not a hard tack snow, thank God. But it was dense. It was dense. It was thick, 14 inches thick. Like it. Just the way you get the point.
How many kids you have?
Keep going. So so anyway, so we don't dig into there. So the younger two come out. So Michael and Keegan come out. So Michael comes out first. Keegan comes out right after. So they're helping out. So Michael's kind of doing a little bit here, and Keegan's doing a little bit there. So we're dig through. So 2 hours later, we finally went up figuring out. I come walking in. So now the 22-year-old that comes strolling down. It's about 2:30 or so at this point. So he's not working today. So he's just chilling out. So he comes strolling down. So I outsourced the evening shift to the older guy. So he got to take that one himself. So he probably about 4 or 5 inches or so. That was still in there. And we probably have 18 inches. We might have a little bit more at this point. I don't know. It was pretty chunky at this point. And so he got to do that, but one of my neighbors was coming by with his snow thrower, so he did like the front of the sidewalk with that. So whereas I, of course, have a huge problem with that I feel that's emasculating to myself, and I will not let someone come over with their fucking snow blower because I'm sitting there throwing it with myself with my snow shovel, old school, like the way Dad would have done it. So we used to plow it out from Katona with my little tractor and little plow. On the driveway that was like three times as long as our little dinky driveway in New Jersey, and I just flat out refuse to do that. So we still sit there with our snow shovels and dig our way out old school. So
Well,
I still made it barely, and I don't know what I got tomorrow.
when the kids were small, like too small to help. Like they were small enough to be able to go out with shovels and big enough to mess it up. So I'd be like, so
Classic dad.
there was a time when I did do the full, it was a storm like this, and it was a 2-foot storm, and I shoveled every blessed thing myself. The driveway is, it's kind of significant. It widens up. It's a hill. The walk is kind of, fairly long. And I just basically went out every 2 hours and shovel like I did. I let it probably get to 6 inches or something like that, and I knocked that out. And I calculated, like, with the help of architect Debbie Rizzo, I was like, okay, how much square footage is that, and how much snow did we get, and then how much does it weigh?
And the weight, there you go.
It was like 20 tons of snow that I shoveled myself, and I was like wiped, and I was going for like I slept a little bit, but not that much. And back at this time, I used to go, and I would go and pick my dad up and bring him over for for dinner, for the traditional, whatever it was, Friday or Saturday. And so I call him up, and I'm like, "Hey, I just, I finally finished shoveling." He's like, "Oh, you're gonna pick me up? We're gonna eat?" I'm like, "I just finished shoveling. Like, I'm completely exhausted. Like, I'm so exhausted. Like, but I'm not, I don't need to go to sleep for 5 hours. I just need to put my head down for like 15 minutes. Like, I just need a quick reset, and then I'll jump in the car and I'll come down and get you." He's like, "Oh, what? You don't want to, and he starts turning the screws on me. This is actually
the Ranger.
Yes, the Army Ranger. And I have told the story on my other podcast, Real Naked Joke Radio, I think, but this is a very heartwarming story. So my father's not with us anymore, by the way, just for you know that, obviously, but our listeners may or may not. So my late father was turning the screws on me. He's like, "Oh, you don't want to come?" I'm like, "No, I want to come, Dad. I just don't want to, I just need to like reset. I shoveled like 20 tons of snow, and I've been going this whole time. Like, I don't want to be like exhausted in the car. I just need to close my eyes for a little bit." "Oh, but if you do that, you say you're going to do that, and you say you're going to be 15 minutes, and then you're going to be here 2 hours later, and then I'm not going to eat. And then, I'll have to eat something in the middle, and then I'm not going to be hungry later." I'm like, "You know what, Dad? I'm coming now. I'm coming now. Coming now." No. You don't have to come.
Oh, no.
No, I'm coming now.
I don't want to impose.
No. I'm coming now.
I just want to point out.
I'm coming now. "No, you don't have to. I'm coming now. I'll see you in 16 minutes.
Yeah.
Took my phone, my HTC Evo 4, whatever it was. My sons, if they're listening, they'll text me, see what it is. I'm right-handed. I can do a lot of stuff lefty, but I'm not, like, I don't, I can throw things lefty, but I don't, I'm right-handed. I take the phone. I'm standing in like the kitchen part, like the dining part of the kitchen. I end the call. The phone is in my left hand. I take my phone, and oh yeah, Xavier texted me, HTC Evo 4G. Okay, producer Xavier Rizzo. There. That's an extra. You'll get more in the bank account this week, son, for that. I take a step, almost like I'm doing a pickoff move. I take my phone and I throw it from the middle of like the dining part of the kitchen through like a breezeway, through the family room. It hits the mantle of the fireplace and just breaks all over the place.
Worth it.
I don't yell. I don't do anything. The look on my children's face collectively was like, Jesus could have walked through the door at that point. They would have been less shocked than what they saw. I go over, I pick up my phone. It is mangled. It still works. The screen is destroyed. It's like
Good.
bent. Still works. And so then I borrowed Debbie's phone for the drive because of course, now I'm driving in snow, whatever. Picked up my dad. We had the food, and took him home later. And I think I slept for like 18 straight hours after that was all said and done. And I couldn't move the next day. Like I was just like, I was just exhausted,
That's
and yeah.
That's it, right? Once we hit a certain age, you can still do it for a day. But the next day, no.
No, I know.
Just not there.
I hung in. I tell you what, dog.
What a reliever.
The snow, the snow blower, as Mike Francesa's favorite thing. It is an art form, but like I'm doing like really like steep driveways, steep walks. It's tough, and with a load like that with 2 feet, it's a lot. It's a lot to manage.
That's
So
just a shovel downhill.
Yeah, my hands are like I could feel them being already sore, but I got to tell you, dog, the midlife crisis of getting the steam shower, greatest thing I ever did.
Really?
Oh yeah, I came in from the 4 hours. I wasn't really like cold, but I was like wet,
Achy,
from sweat.
Yeah,
I was
I
like
hear you.
sweat wet and like had snow all over, like I looked like
The 40-mile-an-hour blowing wind in your face.
yeah, like I looked like my
good times.
eyebrows looked like the Minnesota Vikings from like 1973 in Metropolitan.
Your hair looked like the dog, but not quite as good, but nice.
Yeah.
Still similar.
No, I had the
the hat on?
balaclava. I had the balaclava on with the hood.
Ah, nice.
So I was pretty well protected in there.
Okay.
And I just basically came in. I blame the kids for everything that's wrong in the world right now. And then I just marched upstairs and went right into the steam shower.
Nice.
And I came out a new man. Debbie Rizzo had made a nice salad for me. I threw a little tuna in there. And yeah. And then on with the dog and talking to all you people for an hour and a half here. So
there you go.
Hopefully the diamond dog didn't pee on the floor by this point.
What happens.
Yeah, it happens. If she wants to go out. All right, I think that's it. So we covered everything there. We covered the Strat-O-Matic stuff. That seems like it was 2 weeks ago, right?
It was pretty good. We sort of said going in, I'm like, what are we going to talk about? Hour and a half later, here we are.
Wait, I'm gonna
it all?
I'm gonna see if they posted the Strat-O-Matic scores yet. Oh, not available yet. We've been on for so long. I thought they might.
I mean, by the way, I'm totally set up for tomorrow morning. I've got the Family Guy with Stewie throwing the Mets hat down. Here's the first pitch and the season's over. I'm like, I'm totally set for that for tomorrow morning. Mets 0-3. Sweetie Birdie sweeps me. I'll put the Stewie one on, and the season's over.
Oh, just do the time tweet. You could set it right now, and it'll just tweet at that.
It's pretty much a guarantee.
Yeah. The upstart.
It'd be freaking Paul O'Neill. Paul O'Neill's gonna hit like freaking 3 home runs off me. It's gonna irritate the hell out of me. Logano's gonna go for like I don't know, everything. But oh well.
All right, doggy. I think that's gonna do it. Follow us everywhere at Diamond Diehards. Join the Facebook group. The Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram. We want you also to subscribe. We really need the subscribers because we're trying to build this thing out. We're having such great conversations behind the scenes here. Like there's really big things coming. We're working on, the guest integration part of this thing as well. And there's just really, we're having a lot of fun doing this. FMSgraphics.com, dog, right? For all the printing and promotional needs. That stuff is right around the corner again. As the economy starts to open, you're gonna want to go old school here and there and take things and put things in people's hands, right? So go to fmsgraphics.com. Quick, easy, fast delivery, and you can always get that for yourself anytime on the web. fmsgraphics.com. All right, dog. I think that's going to wrap it up for the February 1st show. We are into February. We're into the month where pitchers and catchers are near ready to report. The one thing we didn't talk about was the 154 game season proposal, blah, 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 blah. Dog, I think that means that with the snow day coming up again, this might be a double this week or a triple. I don't know. We could do a short one. Like we always say, we might have to come back on Tuesday, depending on the results of this.
The dog constantly begs for a 30-minute quick hitter.
we have done them.
We've done that once.
We could do another one.
Maybe twice.
Could do another one because we have the Strat stuff and the 154 game proposal that they're not going to take.
Yeah,
so
the way the Strat's probably going to go, I'm probably not going to want to talk about it very long.
We'll see. You never know. All right, that's going to do it. We're going to wrap it up there. You can follow the dog on Twitter at Jeff Healy8. That's the number 8. And you can follow me, Joe Rizzo, at Rear Naked Choke, all one word. If you're into mixed martial arts, go check out my other podcast, Rear Naked Choke Radio. You can find that the same way you find this, just by searching Google for it and looking on all the apps where you find your podcasts. That's YouTube, Stitcher, Spotify, iTunes. It's all there. Go there. Please subscribe. Please spread the word about Diamond Diehards, because before you know it, they'll be on Diamonds playing baseball again. So that's going to do it for the dog, Jeff Healy. This is Joe Rizzo. Diamond Diehards is out.